Toastmaster Benita. Rome was built daily. Rome was built daily, Toastmaster Benita.
You don't have to build a house. You just lay a brick. And you lay that brick daily, persistently, and one day you will have a house. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I would like to ask, how many of you in here wanted to get fit to be able to climb that flight of stairs without sounding like you just fought a wild animal? Or just finally stick to that diet plan? Or learn that new skill that you always wanted to get a go ahead in your career? Or just simply start waking up early so you don't have to make a choice between skipping breakfast or skipping bath? Because I for sure know I make daily negotiations with my alarm clock for that extra sweet 5 minutes of sleep. So for the longest time in my life, I have been very consistent. Not in gym, but in always setting my New Year's resolution as losing weight. So this was my New Year's Eve tradition. I would watch all these amazing transformation videos and I would tell to myself, Ben, this year is going to be yours. This time next year, you will be the one making the videos. So the first week of New Year, I start all pumped up. I do everything. I do cardio, I do weightlifting, I do jogging, whatever it is. You name it, I do it. And by the end of first week, I would eagerly step up on the weighing scale and I would see the same numbers stare back at me. Like all my efforts went unnoticed. I would be slightly disappointed, but I would still continue the second week. But this time I would double all my efforts. And by the end of second week, when I checked the weighing scale, the result was even more devastating. Because this time I had lost just 1 kilo. 1 kilo that I would probably gain back by just being near food. Anyway, I continue into my third week. And by the end of third week, I tell to myself, no, this time I'm not going to let some stupid machine tell me what I am. So I pull out the dress that has been in my wardrobe for 2 years that I bought 2 sizes down, hoping I would fit into it someday, one day. And I try it on, hoping for the slightest change. But no, I still look like a perfectly wrapped pillow. I'm never going to lose weight, I will tell myself. I'm doing everything, but nothing is changing. So I'd give up until I see a transformation video and the cycle would continue. So this was always my pattern. I would start something with full motivation. By the time I don't see the desired result, immediately I would give up. All I wanted was that instant change, that instant success. Otherwise, I wouldn't find the motivation to keep going. That's when I came across Chinese bamboo. For those of you who do not know, now this Chinese bamboo, like any other plant, needs the basic things to grow: water, sunlight, care, and patience. So you plant a seed, you water it daily, and you show up consistently. By the end of 1 year, you would expect something. But no, there's nothing. Another year goes by, there's still nothing. There's nothing even in the third year, the fourth, or even in the fifth year. There's nothing above the ground. But beneath the surface, there's something very powerful happening. The plant is building strong and deep roots, spreading, strengthening, and preparing. And one day, a tiny sprout shoots up. And within the next few weeks, it reaches incredible heights. So, what we see is not the growth of 6 weeks, but years of invisible effort. This also reminded me of my mom, who in her 40s went on to pursue her BA and MA in English literature, not because she had to, but she had a genuine interest in the language. But she didn't have the perfect schedule or the ideal time for her to support the goal. In spite of being a working teacher, working from 9 to 5, coming back home, taking care of the family, and handling responsibility simultaneously, she always chose to study daily in pockets of time. Some days she had more time for herself, some days there were barely any. But she would still choose to open the book and sit with it, familiarize with the subject, even if it was just for 20 minutes before going to the bed. She did not do any overthinking. She did not wait for the moment to be ready, just quiet, consistent effort. So I started to apply that in my own journey. So today, whenever I don't feel like doing a full workout routine, I just go for a walk around the block. And when I don't like to do cardio because it feels too much, I stick with little weights. And over time, I realized Even when I can't see the results, I somehow able to feel the results. A push-up felt a lot more easier, and I wasn't exhausted within the first 5 minutes of playing with my friends. There's something very fascinating about how a human brain works. This is called as the neuroplasticity. In simple terms, it means you can change your brain by doing things repeatedly. When you practice a new language or a new skill or just think in a certain way, there are small connections formed in your brain. Initially, these connections are weak, and that's why everything feels so confusing and difficult in the beginning. But over time, as you do these things repeatedly, these connections become stronger. It is like the first day I walked into high school where my pants replaced my skirts, making me feel like I was all grown up finally. Until I was handed the chemistry textbook, I opened the book and I see numbers and alphabets and all of it put together, and none of it made sense. But over time, as I kept going back to it, it became familiar. Not easy, but familiar. So, this is how habits are built. Consistency is not just about discipline, it is about training your brain until what feels difficult today feels a lot more natural tomorrow. So, as the famous saying goes, Rome was not built in a day. No great achievements are. Sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes months, and sometimes even years. But what we tend to forget in the process is that Rome was not built in a day. It was not built in one grand moment, but it was built daily, brick by brick. And that's how anything meaningful in life is created, by doing small actions repeatedly. Because consistency leads to progress, and progress helps us to achieve the extraordinary. Thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations to my speaker, Toastmaster Benita. You had a great title in your speech. Rome was built daily. So that made the audience wonder what you're going to talk about, and it was interesting to grab the attention of the audience. And also your speech immediately grabbed the attention of the audience because you started with a question and made them think. Your question was something relating to every audience and made them think what they would do in that situation, and it connected to our everyday life. Everyone will know this concept because everyone have this idea of reducing the weight. It is a simple concept and common to everyone's life, but the way you presented it was great, and that made the speech extraordinary. You had incorporated a lot of vocabulary, English vocabulary words, and your English was great in the speech. You had some idioms like pull out the dress, perfectly wrapped pillow. It was great and interesting to listen to such new words in your speech. You had very correct pauses in between every sentence. That was great to listen and follow along with your speech. You can, one thing that you can do is you can have pause after every example you give. So you said about the plant and you can have a pause, and so that you the audience will know that you're going to the next example. So the next you started talking about your mother, and there you can have, after completing this that story, you could have a pause. But it was like you were going on a flow, that there was no pause in between your examples. That was like how you're memorizing and just stating it. It's you can have pause in between. So the flow of your speech was great because it is very evident that you have practiced many times. So you did not have any struggle in between of the speech. But this one thing that I thought was you can have pause after every story that you're saying, so that the audience can have can follow instead of continuing in one single way of explaining. There also you can have some vocal variety because after one story, the other story you can start. You like, for example, you had one sentence. There is a small connection formed in your brain. These connections become stronger. So this you just said as is one sentence. You can just have a pause. There is a small connection formed in your brain, and these connections become stronger. So there you can have some vocal variety and pauses at the right stages that can help your speech. And also, uh, uh, you also explained your confidence throughout the speech was great because, as I said, it looked like you practiced the speech many times. Your focus was great, and you gave the message to the audience, that is persistence. What is in there for me? If the audience is asking, the answer is persistence. So you have taught us how to be persistent. You made the audience engaged throughout the speech. The structure of the speech, you had a great, you had a strong hand on the structure of the speech. Thank you for giving such a great speech and